Hello everyone, Delia Dekker here, aka the Weirdo over there. Today, I'm going to be talking about TheJosh. Now, this video is completely unscripted. The only thing I have written down is a few notes so that I don't forget some important things I want to talk about. Also, I won't have a lot of pictures or screenshots or anything like that in my video because recently there have been a lot of people talking out about TheJosh, and they've been having their videos complained about. They've been getting emails from YouTube talking about their videos have received privacy complaints, most likely from Josh. So I'd rather not have that happen. I don't want to risk this video being taken down just because I had some pictures up or because I used one of his aliases that he didn't like. So I'm not going to be going as in depth as I would have liked originally. So, just a bit of background information. I started watching TheJosh about maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Not entirely sure when. Just one of his videos popped up. I checked him out. He seemed pretty alright. His video was a bit funny. I don't remember exactly which video it is, and I can't go back to look because, of course, his channel is taken down. But it was some sort of Onision video, and I haven't seen much of TheJoshShow videos. I saw a few Onision videos, one or two BuzzFeed videos, and one social repost video. But I don't usually get involved with YouTube drama, so I wasn't a big fanatic of the Josh Show. I just watched a couple of his videos when it interested me. So even with this, with only having seen, I'd say less than 10 of his videos, some things still seemed odd to me as I watched. For one thing, he more than once claimed to have an entire team of people doing research, um, editing, interviewing people, an entire team of 30 or more people, which was interesting because he never really talked about just what the team was, how he established the team, what they were doing exactly, what their purpose was. Um, but I didn't look too into it. I figured it may have been something he addressed in one of his earlier videos that I didn't look at. Um, but he also claimed to work from home, completely from home. And again, he never went into much detail about his team, so it was just odd that he worked entirely from home, yet he owned an entire team of people. He also said he had a company that he owned. It was just a lot of things that weren't cleared up, so it was hard to know just what was true and what he might have been exaggerating about or just plain lying about. But again, I figured it must have just been something that he addressed in one of his earlier videos that I didn't know about. Another thing that I didn't think too much of at the time, but now in hindsight was kind of weird was on the second video of his I watched, I left a comment asking about his accent because it was an interesting accent. And he didn't reply, which is fine. I just figured, he has a lot of people watching his videos. He can't reply to everyone. That's fine. Or maybe, again, it was something he addressed earlier. Um, and as I watched more of his videos, I noticed a lot of people asked about his accent, where he was from, where he lived, that sort of stuff. Um, and in one of his Onision videos, he claimed to know several different languages. Again, I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now looking back, looking at what I found recently over the last couple of days, it may be that he didn't ever address this because he didn't know what to say. Maybe he didn't want people knowing where he's from, or maybe he's told so many different stories about it that he didn't know which one to go with. Um, when I was watching his video, he would often make outlandish claims that I always figured were just an exaggeration or a joke. Claims like, I'm a millionaire, or I have unlimited resources, um, or I have so and so people following me on Twitter or wherever. Again, I always figured he was just exaggerating, but in hindsight, maybe he actually wanted people to believe these ludicrous claims. Maybe he was actually trying to suggest to people that he really did have this stuff. Or again, he could have just been exaggerating. There's no real way to know. Um, a couple of days ago, I noticed that TheJosh hadn't uploaded in a while. Um, so I just went over to my subscriptions and clicked on his channel. I was shocked to see that the entire channel had been taken down. Now I didn't follow any of his social media or blog or whatever, so I took to Google, uh, and it sent me to, I think, his Twitter, which was also removed. So then I was wondering, hey, what the heck's going on? And I figured TheJosh was popular enough, and he had friends, so-called, on YouTube, so I figured people had to have been talking about him on YouTube, and I could figure out there what was going on. So I YouTube searched for TheJosh, and it pulled up a couple of videos about people talking about how he fell under a Great Depression, people were harassing him, people were making claims about him being a pedophile, complaining to his boss, and that he eventually couldn't take it anymore and he just deleted himself from YouTube. I did find that kind of odd that it just happened out of the blue, but one of the people who made this video said that they were in personal connection with Josh, that they Skyped him regularly. So I figured, well, maybe it is true that he had depression and that people were harassing him, but I found it odd that he was making a couple of videos that he was about to release, and he just up and quit his YouTube channel out of nowhere. No warning to his fans first, no, hey, this is what's going on. He just up and left. So that was very odd. And in the comments for this video that I watched, I saw a link to lolcow, or lolcow, however it's pronounced. And on that link, there's so much information that it is mind-blowing. And I'm sure a lot of the Josh fans are saying that it's fake or that's his stalker making this stuff up, but there's so much information on there from years ago up till now that the correlation, it's too strong. It's too much to be just a coincidence or too much for somebody to have faked over just a couple of days. There's just too much there. So, having read through all of that and still refreshing the lolcow page every couple of hours just to see what new information is being found out. Um, it's just amazing all that's on there. And I'm just reading all of that. There's so much going on in my mind. And there's so many people who are still defending Josh because they've heard these rumors and they haven't really looked into anything else. And they're just going by what they've heard. And it's not right that they are being misled like this, and they need to know what's really going on. Now, I can't say for certain what is going on with TheJosh because I don't know the guy personally. I'm not him. I I haven't spoken to him personally, but with all the information presented, I don't see how anyone could still believe these rumors fully. So I just want to go through some of the information that I found through LOL Cloud and realizations I've had through watching the Josh Show videos and just seeing what he himself has posted and done. It's just through all of that, it's hard to not, it's hard to still trust him in anything he says because there's just so much sketchiness going on surrounding him. So, for one thing, a big thing is his aliases. He has a lot of them. And there's nothing wrong with having a lot of aliases, but when he uses those aliases to defend his other aliases, then we get into sketchy territory. So one of his aliases is Neil Sentry, who is a failed musician. You can tell that this musician is actually TheJosh because of the song, the singing. If you listen to it, and there is a link on YouTube of somebody who re-uploaded the video after TheJosh deleted that channel. If you listen to the song, you can obviously tell that that's his voice. However, it seems that in defense, trying to separate himself from this alias, Josh has claimed that he only worked with Neil, doing some stuff with equipment, and that's why his picture is associated with the name. But again, if you listen to the song, you can tell that's his voice. Under an information page about Neil Sentry, written by him, it says that Maurice is the legal name of Neil Sentry. On another information page, it says Maurice, aka Morrow, are all aliases of Neil Sentry. So that leads to another alias, Maurice or Morrow. There are other aliases he created in order to defend his original aliases. I'm not going to go through all of them. One reason because there's just so much. There's just so many, really, and also because of the privacy complaint thing, I don't want to list all his aliases and then have him complain about my video giving out his private names or whatever. Also with his aliases, he's been writing about himself on LOL Cloud, on a LOL Cow. If you don't know that site, basically everybody is anonymous unless they choose to say who they are. So under an anonymous account, Josh has been writing about himself, saying things like, oh, maybe Onision has hired actors to frame or harass Josh, or maybe Josh really did kill himself, stuff like that. He's making these posts about himself in order to further spread rumors and raise suspicions about other people, including John K. Now, Josh was found out because the admin of that thread tracked his IP address and found that all of those posts were made by the same person, and that person lived in Japan, not South Korea, as Josh claimed he moved to on Christmas Day. And that IP address was the same IP address as someone who emailed the admin of the site, and that person admitted in the email that they were TheJosh, and that person used multiple emails all from the same IP address, and the same IP address that made all those posts about TheJosh. And in those emails, TheJosh threatened to take his own life if the thread wasn't taken down. So all of that is just so sketchy. And keep in mind that several of these posts were made after the rumors about the Josh having killed himself. And we'll get back to that later. Now, Josh has also lied about very, very basic information. He has lied about his name, which we don't even know what his real name is. Is it Josh? Is it Mauro? Maurice? Neil? Like, what is his real name? And that's fine that he doesn't have to tell anyone that because it is the internet, but so many aliases, and he's defending these aliases, saying, no, I'm not this alias, or hey, this person is saying this about this alias when it's really him. It's just strange. He's also lied about his location. As I just said, the admin of lolcow tracked his IP address to say that he's still in Japan when he said he moved to South Korea. That's odd. Um, Also, whenever he claimed to go somewhere, he only took pics of the skyline. He never took a picture of him next to an iconic building or anything like that, next to a sign. Only pictures of the skyline, which anyone can find on Google Images in just a couple of seconds. He also has lied about his daughter's age. Now, this could be just a typo, or maybe he really did change his daughter's age, but on like his Patreon and on his Family of Two videos, he has multiple times changed the age of his daughter, which just is weird. Um, he is also vague about a lot of information, and I noticed this in his videos as well. When he says something about his private life or his job, it's always very vague and it can be open to multiple interpretations. Um, for instance, he allegedly has this life-altering illness that is very painful, yet he refuses to take medication for it. What is the life-altering illness? Uh, what medication? Why aren't you taking medication? He says it's because he's never taken medication in his life. He wants to let his immune system fight it off, which is fine, but if it's something really life-threatening, then there is no my immune system can fight it off. It's just strange that he's talking about having this illness that can't really be treated, um, and that's making his life so difficult, but he's not giving any information to suggest what it is. And it's fine that if he doesn't want to share that medical information, that's fine, but it's also a little weird that he would even mention it. It seems kind of like he's trying to gain sympathy. Also, he says he went to a surgeon and got this information from a surgeon. That could just be a language barrier, or maybe he really doesn't understand that a surgeon does surgery. They don't give you prescription medication. They just do surgery. You don't go to a surgeon for a diagnosis. That's not how it works. Now, let's talk about Ready to Glare. Now, I don't really know her much. I don't think I've seen any of her videos. Maybe, just maybe one. Um, so I don't know anything about her. I am completely unbiased to her. Uh, I've seen several people who said things about her, like didn't really like her, but again, I don't know her. I haven't really seen her videos. I have no opinion about her one way or another, but she seems like a very genuine and a true person who's very in touch with her emotions. She was the first one to receive the rumor about TheJosh committing suicide. Apparently, someone contacted her saying that they were TheJosh's counselor, as in psychologist, and said that TheJosh has been depressed for a while now, and finally decided to take his own life. When Ready to Glare heard this, she was absolutely distraught. She cried for him. She was so scared that it could be true, and she was hoping that it was just a troll or a bad joke. And Ready to Glare was Josh's friend, uh, not in real life. Like they didn't like hang out together on the weekends, but she was a friend of his nonetheless, and she was genuinely upset that he could possibly be dead. Now, this story doesn't make sense, the whole counselor thing, because a psychologist would never contact an internet friend if somebody took their own life. That wouldn't happen. That's a breach of confidentiality. And also, how would the psychologist even know to contact Ready to Glare? You could say maybe Josh said to the counselor, "Hey, if something happens to me, can you let Ready to Glare know about this?" But why would the psychologist contact her of all people? Does Josh have no friends or family or coworkers in real life? It's odd that she would be the first person this psychologist would contact. Also, contacting her by this way, not by a phone or anything like that, that's very odd. So it seems that Josh made up this whole psychologist story and contacted Ready to Glare himself because he knew that her, as a YouTuber, would get the story out there and just cause the rumor to spread like wildfire. Ready to Glare definitely suffered the most from this rumor. She was just absolutely devastated when she heard this news. She was genuinely distraught at this, and the entire time she was just being used by the by Josh. It's like I said earlier, he's made posts since that rumor got started, and he has had online internet activity since then. So obviously he isn't dead. Um, but on lolcow, one of his posts that he made anonymously actually called Ready to Glare a pill popper. And that's the worst part of this entire thing. She cried for Josh, was genuinely upset and terrified. She spent her holidays worried for her friend, and he does this on purpose. He makes her this way and then calls her a pill popper. Even if it was anonymous, this wasn't right of him to just call her names like this after she's had this strong emotional reaction to him. So apparently, this just shows that Ready to Glare didn't really mean much to Josh, that he was just manipulating her the entire time, and he just didn't mean anything to him. Next, there's the weird business about his wife. And his wife is weird because there's no consistency in his story. In a video that I watched, he said, when my wife left me. I don't remember what video this is. Again, I can't go back and check because he deleted his entire channel. But the phrase, when my wife left me, is pretty purposefully vague. It could mean she left him, like just up and went away one day, or she died. Um, so there's one claim that his wife cheated on him and they separated after that because he just couldn't be with her after she cheated. This is kind of odd because in the video he made about social reposts, he admitted that he cheated when he was quote unquote younger. Again, there's no way to know when that was exactly. It could have been a year prior or 10 years prior, but he admitted to having cheated. Um, And oddly enough, I think in the same video, or in the comments of that video, he said that it was his wife who cheated on him. So if they both cheated, and it could be that Josh cheated on somebody else, could have been his wife. There's no way to know. But if his wife cheated on him, why would he get separated from her if he himself has also cheated? You'd think he would be more understanding, more forgiving of that, especially if it was just a one-time thing. So it just seems very odd that he would immediately leave his wife if she cheated on him. Another story is that his wife died, but weirdly enough, the year of her death changes. Sometimes it's 2015, sometimes it's 2016. This could be a typo, or he could be lying about his wife's death. He also claims that this was written on his Patreon a while back. He claimed that he and his daughter had to start a new life after his wife left him in 2016. He claims that it's weird that he says this because he was already in Japan at the time. He says that he had to go to a new country where he didn't know any friends or family. He was all alone. He said he had to do this after his wife died. This is weird because he was already living in Japan, and this is evident from his failed attempts at journalism. Yes, for a while he was a journalist. He had a journal called OJW News. It was in Japan. And this was before he started his TheJoshShow channel. So, in 2016, when his wife allegedly died or left him, he was already in Japan, and he didn't say he moved from Japan until Christmas Day 2017. So he was up in Japan, by his own words, he was in Japan till Christmas Day. So what is he talking about? He was in a new country, in a continent that was so foreign to him, without any friends or family. That doesn't make sense because he was already there. He had been there for years. Another rumor is that he claims that he, his daughter, and his wife all went on the run together after they gained a stalker. But he also says he and his wife separated after she cheated on him. Again, conflicting stories here. So which one's the truth, if either of them? So let's get into this stalker rumor. So there are two stalker rumors. There's one that he has been stalked for a couple of years, and then there's another one that he only gained a stalker very recently when he started going out against John K. So I'm going to refer to the stalker rumor that he's been stalked for a couple of years. This is just weird. He claims that his wife cheated on him, and then her lover became a stalker, and he, his wife, and his daughter went on the run for a couple of months until his wife couldn't take it anymore and she killed herself. But the stalker was still after he and his daughter, claiming that he would kill them. And prior to this, his wife's lover was in prison for 12 years for killing somebody. And that's why Josh is so terrified and he's going on the run in order to protect his daughter. That's quite a tale. There's just so much drama to that story. There's so much drama to all of Josh that it's hard to tell what is true, if anything. So the weirdest part of this story, though, is there was a Facebook account created rather recently under Maurice's name. And if you recall, Maurice is one of the aliases of Neil Sentry, aka Josh. So apparently, Josh was trying to make it seem as though Maurice isn't actually him, it's the name of his stalker. And he made a Facebook post as Maurice saying, "Oh, I'm finally a free man. I'm sorry for all the things I've done to you." And it seemed like he was trying to make it seem as though the stalker had just gotten out of prison and he was apologizing for driving Josh's wife to suicide. Weird. Just why would the stalker's name be Maurice? Apparently, the stalker was in jail for 12 years, but the name of Maurice has been used since then. So it's just odd that Josh tried to say that Maurice is the stalker. It's just weird. Now, he says that the police are trying to help him to hide from his stalker. I guess by this he means witness protection, because there's no way the police, like local police, are helping him regularly to hide from a stalker, because no police force would, on a regular basis, consistently do this unless certain members of the police force were a part of witness protection program. But just the regular police just helping him out like that, like the police don't have the time and resources to devote all that attention to just one guy and his daughter. So I guess by this he means to say witness protection. But he's obviously not trying to hide from a stalker, obviously. Because why would somebody, in fear for his life, in fear for his daughter's life, go online and create multiple YouTube accounts where he shows his face, uses his regular, normal speaking voice, have the same look that he's had for years, because he's been wearing that fedora forever, pretty much. Why would he do all of this? Why would he give out multiple social media accounts when a stalker, if they're really that desperate, could easily track that information and find his IP address and then find his location? Like, why would he do this if he was really that terrified of his own life and for his daughter's life? If there really were a stalker after him? And I can tell you that witness protection certainly wouldn't let him do this either. If he were under witness protection, they would not let him go online, create all these identities, let himself be seen on camera with his regular voice. They would not do that. They would never allow that to happen. So the only option, if this stalker story were to be true, the only option is that he's not under witness protection. But the police wouldn't regularly help him if he weren't under witness protection. So why would he say that the police are helping him to hide? And also, still, even if he weren't under witness protection, why would he still expose himself and his daughter to all of YouTube where anyone can find it? That doesn't make sense. And for somebody who claims to have a really high IQ, be part of British Mensa, and to have graduated from Cambridge, that's not a really smart thing to do. There's also another rumor that a stalker is setting him up on LOL Cloud. That all those posts made by the same IP address were made by the stalker who's trying to make Josh look bad. This doesn't add up, because the IP address, again, was traced back to a user in Japan. And we know Josh lived in Japan for a certain amount of time, for at least a couple years. This much is certain. Also, the grammar of the posts, it just matches what Josh says, how he speaks, and how he writes usually. It's just, that's how he speaks English. You could say that the stalker is living in Japan and they're writing the post, but that doesn't make sense either because the grammar of Josh's post, of him himself, his English grammar is consistent with the speaker of a Romance language, such as Italian, if he is Italian, of a Romance language speaker who then learned English. It's not consistent with a Japanese speaker who learned English. Because anyone who studied even just the bare minimum of Japanese grammar knows that Japanese grammar is completely different from Romantic and Germanic grammar. It's completely different. So someone who speaks Japanese and then learns English would not have a grammatical structure like Josh's. Uh, so now we get into his family, his parents and his daughter. Josh has a weird ancestry. He says his father is Egyptian Italian and that his mother is Persian American. That's weird, but possible. He also says he's British, but he was born in Italy and he lives in Japan, even though on his YouTube wiki, which was most likely written by him because he's written wikis about himself before, he says he's an American YouTuber. So he's Egyptian, Italian, Persian, British, Japanese, and American. It's possible, but very, very weird. And the weirdest part of that is that he says he's an American YouTuber, even though he's living in Japan. And it would seem that besides his mother being Persian American, allegedly, he doesn't really have a great tie to America at all. He also claims that his father died of HIV when he was 13, when Josh was 13. This might just be the truest thing he said, although, again, there's no way to really know. But this is odd because it says his father died of HIV, not AIDS. Most people who have HIV later on develop AIDS and then die from AIDS. It's extremely unlikely that someone dies from HIV. So that's a little weird. And that can't be a language barrier because terms like HIV and AIDS, those are universally known. They probably have their own translation, but people don't, people all around the world know what AIDS is. He also said that he was going to do a personal video, a video that was hard for him to make for World HIV Day on December 1st. Again, weird because he's saying HIV, not AIDS. It seems that he doesn't know the difference between these. And you would think somebody who's been personally affected by either would know the difference, especially if his father died from HIV or from AIDS. You think that this particular day would mean a lot to him personally. So that's just weird. Getting into his daughter, this is the part I really don't want to talk about, but there's several videos of his daughter being naked. There's one video of him trying to potty train her, and then 2 videos of him changing her diaper. And again, the age of her is unknown because he changes her age a lot. At first he says she was 2, then he said she recently turned 3, but at the time of the diaper changing video, she looks too old to be wearing diapers at all. And many people in the comments pointed this out as well, that she should, at the very, very least, be in pull-ups, if not already using the bathroom by herself. I mean, she was speaking English, like, she was at least about 3, at least. Um, Now, I'm not in any way suggesting at all that he is a pedophile. In no way would I ever suggest that. I wouldn't ever make a claim like that without sufficient evidence. But it is odd the titles and descriptions he wrote for these particular videos of his daughter. One description was, "A single father changing a diaper or nappy is always a great view." That's just weird. What does he mean is always a great view? Like, I guess he means it's nice seeing a single father taking care of his daughter, but it's just worded so strangely. It doesn't really make sense. And a particularly disgusting description is, "A soft bunny diaper filled with creamy and warm poop." It's just disgusting, regardless of possible language barriers. Just, it's so, the imagery in this description is so specific that he couldn't have thought anything pure and innocent by this. Maybe he thought it was funny, but how could he not see how this could be a disgusting description to have under your video? It's it's just, how could anyone think that's okay? Now, like I said, there's a lot of information, and I couldn't possibly go through it at all. I don't want to go through it all, and I'm not going to address anything that's purely speculation, and I'm not making any claims about him, such as him being a pedophile. Again, I would never say that. And I'm not saying for sure that everything he has ever said is a lie, because, again, I don't know him. I don't know what's going on. I'm just offering the evidence that has been found. And I'm just pointing that a lot of things do not add up, that he has contradicted himself many times, and that makes it very hard to trust anything he says. There's some other sketchy stuff about him. Um, he deleted every page connected to him and his aliases after they were linked on lolcow. Now, a lot of different aliases were found to be his on lolcow. And surprisingly, within a couple of days, every single one of those pages linked was deleted. All of those accounts terminated. This is by far the sketchiest thing of all, because if he were an honest person, he would own up to saying, yeah, okay, yeah, these are all my accounts, these are all my aliases, this is me. But he deleted all of them as if he's trying to hide something. It's just so sketchy. And he only deleted those strange videos about his daughter after they were linked and talked about on lolcow. It's just weird. In his past, he has threatened legal action against Wiki and other parties, uh, because they kept removing uh, his information pages that he wrote about himself, and he kept defending himself with other aliases. Uh, he's likely using bots to make it seem like he has more social media followers than he really has. On one of his pages, it said he had like 46,000 followers and 46,000 or 47,000 favorites, something like that. Anyone who's ever used any sort of internet platform at all knows that you're never going to have figures that close together. That's like if you see a YouTube video that has 300 views and 299 likes and one dislike. That doesn't happen. It doesn't. So, also just 46,000 followers, and yet he's still fairly unknown. It's just weird. And he didn't have a lot of comments either. It's just weird. so he's likely using bots on at least some of his social media platforms. Or at least he was when those platforms were still up. He claims to have a really high IQ, to be a part of the British Mensa, and to have graduated from Cambridge. Yet there's nothing to show for any of that. What did he major in? What is his job? What did he do with all of that? Where's his Mensa certificate? Where is the proof that he did any of this stuff? He apparently likes to claim he's so intelligent, but he's working on YouTube. He's a failed musician, a failed journalist, and that's it. Like, that's it. He has plagiarized multiple musical artists by copying their song lyrics verbatim, by copying their quotes to insert into his own bi- biographies, and he even has parts of their own life story in his own uh, biography pages on like Wikipedia and stuff that were again deleted. He ripped directly off the BBC logo to use for his own Japanese journal, which he called OWJ News. It is exactly the same as the BBC logo, except the letters BBC are replaced with OWJ. Um, and his journal is not even reliable either. He makes several claims without having reliable sources. He used pictures without getting the consent of those he took pictures of. It just wasn't a reliable journal at all, which is why he did not make it as a journalist. He has claimed several times to go on business trips, but he says he works from home, but he says he has an employer who was contacted with these allegations of him being a pedophile, but he also says he owns his own business with over 30 staff members. Yet he says he's looking for people to be his new researcher and editor. It's just so much contradiction here. Does he work from home? Is he his own employer? Does he have somebody else he works for? Like, does he have his own business? What's the truth here? He said that he was going to use his patrons' money to save for quote unquote legal expenses. Not sure what that means exactly. Um, he said he was also going to use the money to buy better equipment. However, with seeing several of his videos, I never saw evidence of this. He'd mostly stay the same. The quality of his videos were mostly the same. Um, you could argue that maybe he didn't save enough or didn't have enough to buy new equipment, but maybe he just didn't have any intention of buying new equipment at all. Um, Also, there's a question of now that he has deleted his YouTube pages, he has asked his patrons to take back their donations, like to stop funding him. But what is he going to do with the money that they've already donated to him? I guess he's just going to keep that uh, because he's not using it towards new equipment, which is what they gave their money for. So I guess he's just keeping it for himself. He has used his aliases to accuse people of harassing him. One of his aliases targeted a certain girl who was an Onision fan and specifically said she is one of the people harassing TheJosh. He has also used his aliases to start and spread rumors about himself. Uh, for instance, the suicide rumor, he used some lame alias of being Josh's psychologist to start that rumor. He has used the anonymous accounts on lolcow to try to spread rumors that, hey, maybe Onision is behind TheJosh's disappearance. Maybe John K led to a suicide, other stuff like that. And he also tried to use lolcow to try to discover people's addresses in criminal records. This is just shady. Why are you trying to get people on this anonymous platform to tell you the addresses of other people, of other YouTubers? Sure, this is public information, but why would you want to know this? So what I found interesting over the last couple of days is that there are a lot of parallels between Josh and Onision, specifically what Josh has accused Onision of doing. Many of the claims he made towards Onision in his videos have turned out to be true of himself. For instance, he's a liar who has contradicted himself many times on even basic information. Same thing he said about Onision. He even pointed out different videos from years ago where Onision said something that contradicted something Onision said recently. Same thing is happening now. TheJosh said something a couple months back that contradicts something he said just a few days ago. It's just the same exact thing. Josh accused Onision of not caring about his fans and friends, which is applied to TheJosh himself as evident by him faking his death and calling Ready to Glare a pill popper after she cried for him. And obviously, since he's not giving his fans any information, he is letting his fans worry about him, being so confused about what's going on. He is letting his fans turn on other YouTubers and other fans of those YouTubers. He's letting all of this happen, letting people who thought they were friends with him cry for him, worry for him, pray for him, hope that he's alright, alive, that he's not being stalked. He's letting all of this go on. So obviously he does not care about his fans and his friends. He makes claims towards others without definite evidence, and too much of his speculation he passes off as absolute fact. He allegedly does in-depth research into topics and people, but he actually doesn't. He finds information that can be found rather easily, and other sources are questionable. He is very manipulative, something he has accused Onision of being time and time and time again. Yet again, here he is, making everybody worry for him. He exaggerates his financial situation in order to get more patrons. So anyone who knows what's going on with Onision this year, he has been going on about how YouTube has been demonetizing his videos and how he has so much debt now and how he's about to lose his house and how he needs so much money right now and he's trying to get support from viewers to donate to his Patreon. The same thing is going on with Josh. He said that he is so poor that he and his daughter has had to eat some really basic, really cheap food, and they can't really support themselves, and they need donations from Patreon. But didn't he say he had unlimited resources before? And I've seen images of his house, like in videos he's done with his daughter. That's not the house of somebody who's poor. He uses his family to gain sympathy. Again, as I just said, he's talked about he and his daughter not having enough money. He talks about how he's a single father, how his wife died or left him or whatever happened with her, how it's hard supporting his daughter and making videos, and he stays up all night editing and he can't be there for his daughter like he wants to be. He uses his family to gain sympathy, just as Onision has said several times hey, I need money in order to support my family. How can I make sure my kids have everything they need if we're living on the streets? Um, he has accused Onision of having multiple accounts on YouTube and creating new aliases to defend himself in the comments. He has done the exact same thing. He has multiple accounts, he has created aliases to argue with and defend his other aliases. Josh has accused Onision of having delusions of grandeur. Same thing with Josh, and this is seen by his constant self-comparisons to famous musicians such as Queen, by his claims of success and fortune, claiming that he has his own business, that he works from home, that he's a millionaire, that he doesn't need to rely on YouTube because he has his own job that's doing great and all that other stuff. And it's also evident by his use of follower bots. Apparently, he really, really wants to seem famous. Otherwise, he wouldn't feel the need to use bots to make it seem like he has tens of thousands of followers. He wants desperately to receive attention by covering popular topics that stir drama on YouTube. Josh talked about this with Onision, covering just the latest bit of drama, but he does the same thing by covering Onision's social reposts, the BuzzFeed drama. He did the exact same thing with all of his YouTube videos. And it could be suggested that he did the same thing with his family of two YouTube accounts, because the whole changing diaper video, he made that video soon after another very popular video was released on the internet of a father changing his child's diaper. So it could be that he was just trying to ride on the wave of that video's success. Uh, but perhaps one of the most alarming parallels between Josh and Onision, one that Josh really went on and on about in his videos about Onision, is that he has created something that has caught the attention of pedophiles, yet seemed to be, or at least pretended to be, unaware of this, and ignored others when they pointed it out. In this case, we're comparing Onision's forum, which attracted pedophiles to look at pictures of underage girls, to Josh's videos of his daughter being naked. That right there is perhaps the most alarming parallel, because Josh, even if he uploaded this video with the purest intentions, and even if he was unaware that this would attract pedophiles, he still ignored others when they pointed out, hey, this video is going to get a bad crowd attracted to it. He still ignored comments by sketchy people saying, oh, I wished we could have gotten a better shot of that. Oh, I wish we could have seen you wipe your child's bum. Just comments like that, he just ignored. He didn't take down the video until after it was posted on lolcow. He didn't try to censor the video at all. He just left it up there. And those videos were his most popular videos. And surely someone with a very high IQ and who's part of British Mensa, surely they would have realized why those videos are so popular. Surely they would have realized it's not right to have your infant or however your old daughter naked on YouTube without any sort of censorship. Surely he would have realized that at some point, but apparently he just didn't care because those videos got close to 80,000 views. That's the most he ever got on that channel. Maybe the reason why he was so obsessed with Onision on his TheJoshShow channel is because he saw himself. Maybe he connected with Onision. Maybe he realized that Onision is a lot like him. Maybe he understood Onision, and that's why almost why he made close to at least 8 videos about Onision, and why he kept coming back and back and back to Onision, always talking about Onision. Maybe that's the real reason why he was so obsessed with the guy. So, what does all this information leave us with? It leaves us with a bunch of questions that we might probably never get answers to. Some of the big questions are, why is he deleting his online accounts? All of them. Is it because he wants to have the lolcow page removed? In an email he sent to the administrator, he said, I read that if I'm no longer a public figure, I will have this thread removed. So I am deleting all of my online accounts. I don't want to be known online anymore, so can you please remove that thread? So it looks like he may be deleting all of his accounts in order to have that thread removed. But the question is why? All of this is online anyway. So why is he so upset about this thread that's just pointing out what he has already had online for a while now? Could it be that he's hiding something? What doesn't he want people to find? And if he is deleting all his accounts to have the lolcow page removed, why start so many rumors? Why start this rumor about him being stalked, about him committing suicide, about him leaving YouTube to protect his daughter? Protect her from what? Like, what is going on here? Why would he start these rumors if he wants to disappear from the internet? Doesn't make sense. What is the point of all this chaos? Is there a point? It's just none of this makes any sense, and it probably never will. I don't know what's going on with TheJosh, but I do know that he's not a trustworthy guy. He presented information in a way that seemed like he was doing hardcore research and that he was really looking into things deeply, but it turns out he was just making claims without true sufficient evidence. It turns out he was lying about most, if not all, of his entire life. There's so much here that it's just mind-boggling. Why do all of this? Why start all these rumors? Why delete yourself from the internet? Why do any of this? None of it makes sense. And all these claims he's made about his life, about his father and his wife and himself, it's too much drama for it to all possibly be true. Maybe one or two things are true, but all this stuff about stalkers and suicide and about people harassing him to the point that he wanted to take his own life, about his father being dead, like, it's just so much drama for one person's life. And it's too much, it's too fantastical. It's just too outlandish to possibly all be true. Maybe there is a bit of truth in that, but all of it, no, there's no way that all of that is true. So the question is why? Why is he making up all these lies? Why is he starting all these rumors? What is it that he's trying to hide? What doesn't he want people to uncover about his past? So that's it. That's what's happened to TheJosh recently. And those are the questions that we're left with. I don't even know what to make of all this. I don't think this drama is going away anytime soon, but I really hope that all the people who supported Josh, especially his patrons, I hope they realize all this information. I hope they see that Josh was not trustworthy at all. I hope they understand that all these rumors are not true, that Josh created them himself. I hope they see that and stop defending him without knowing the details, without knowing the truth. I hope that they become more weary of who they trust in the future, especially with their money. And I'm sorry that they had to fall for that. A lot of people fell for Josh's views, and that's just disappointing. It really is. And it doesn't make sense why he would do all this. But I guess we'll never know. Well, thanks. Those were my weirdo thoughts. Thanks for listening to them. Hope to catch you next time. But until then, keep being you. Peak Drew.